In the summer of 2025, China stands on the brink of collapse, battered by an unrelenting onslaught of floods, landslides, and human tragedy. From the neon-lit streets of Beijing to the mist-shrouded villages of Sichuan, a nation once heralded as an economic juggernaut now drowns in despair. At the heart of this catastrophe looms the Three Gorges Dam, once a monument to China's ambition, now a symbol of its fatal miscalculations. As floodwaters surge, swallowing homes and livelihoods, the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, scrambles to suppress the truth, leaving millions to fend for themselves. This is the story of a nation teetering on the edge, where nature's wrath and political deception converge into a crisis of unprecedented scale, breaking the silence. The floods of 2025 have exposed a China at a crossroads. Outdated infrastructure, crumbling governance, and a regime that prioritizes image over lives have pushed the nation to the brink. Experts demand urgent reforms, restore natural floodplains, release real-time data, modernize drainage systems, and compensate victims fairly. Without transparency, there is no trust, said Dr. Wang. Yet the CCP's development model, cheap hydropower, profitable fish farms, lakeside resorts, clashes with public safety. If you've witnessed these floods, felt their terror, or lost what you love, share your story. Your voice can pierce the CCP's veil of silence. China faces a choice: confront the truth and reform, or hide behind lies and court greater disaster. Let's demand a transparent, secure future. Share your thoughts below and follow for updates on China's unfolding crisis. The cover-up. A regime's desperate gamble. Behind the floodwaters lies the CCP's most powerful weapon, its propaganda machine. Information about dam safety, water levels, and casualties is locked away. Social media is scrubbed of dissent, and journalists face intimidation. In Liangjiang County, Guizhou, residents accused authorities of underreporting deaths. "I saw 2 bodies near the supermarket," said Mr. Li, but no official report mentioned them. The true death toll remains a state secret, fueling speculation and rage. The CCP's absence during the crisis has deepened distrust. "Xi Jinping is invisible," said Li Lingqi. "They wait for the waters to recede before staging concern." Environmental scientist Peter Glei warned that the dam's ecological cost is immeasurable, while historian Michael Osland predicted, "If the dam collapses, so does the CCP's narrative, and instability will follow." The regime's gamble, control the narrative at all costs, may backfire as public anger simmers. The dam's dark secret. A structural nightmare. The Three Gorges Dam's troubles run deeper than mismanagement. Its 39.3 billion cubic meters of water have increased seismic activity 30-fold, destabilizing the region. The government admits the dam's structure has slightly shifted, a euphemism that terrifies engineers. A major earthquake or landslide could trigger a chain reaction, warned an anonymous engineer. "We're on a tightrope, and no one knows when it might snap." Dr. Wang Weiluo revealed another bombshell. Nearly 100,000 of China's reservoirs, many built with substandard materials, are structurally unsafe. "A government unaccountable to its people won't prioritize their lives," he said. "If the dam fails, the consequences would be apocalyptic. Yichang, Wuhan, and Nanjing, home to hundreds of millions, would be submerged. The economic and political fallout would be catastrophic. A Three Gorges failure would be a fatal blow to the CCP's credibility," said Michael Allen, a researcher at the Hoover Institution. "The regime staked its reputation on the dam's success. If it fails, its promise of security collapses. The economic devastation, a nation on its knees." The economic toll of the 2025 floods is staggering. In Hubei's Shangyang, over 200 shops and 100 vehicles were submerged. In Chengdu, tech parks and metro stations were paralyzed. Dalian's underground transport and parking facilities were destroyed, and Henan's agricultural heartland was buried in mud. Fish farms, riverfront tourism, and infrastructure projects collapsed, draining provincial budgets. Displaced communities were relocated to makeshift hillside towns, still vulnerable to flooding. The economy was already fragile, said an analyst. This could be the breaking point. The Three Gorges Dam, meant to power China's growth, has instead become a drain. Its high water levels, maintained for profit, triggered the very floods that crippled industries downstream. In Xi'an, small factories and shops were ravaged. "My life's work is buried in mud," wept Ms. Li, an herbal medicine vendor. Collapsed bridges and impassable roads halted agricultural transport, leaving farmers destitute. "The CCP talks of prosperity," said a Henan farmer, "but we're starving while they protect their dam." The human toll, stories of despair. The floods of 2025 are not just statistics, but human tragedies etched in the lives of ordinary people. In Beijing's Sunhegu village, 330 residents, including critically ill patients, were trapped by rising waters. Sun Yong, a local, shared a heartbreaking tale. "My father, a former village chief, refused to leave. He said he had to protect the village, but another landslide could wipe it out." In Hubei's Wanping, a farmer named Mr. Chen lost everything. "Our land, our crops, our home, gone. They gave us instant noodles and called it aid." In Lianning's Dalian, a resident recorded 7,649 lightning strikes in one night, describing the storm as apocalyptic. Underground parking lots became pools and elevators filled with fish, a surreal testament to the chaos. In Henan, where drought and flood struck simultaneously, farmers faced ruin. "Corn and peanuts are dead," said one. "If it doesn't rain in 10 days, dozens of acres are lost. If it rains, we drown." Small businesses were decimated. Ms. Xiao, a shop owner in Nanyang, lost 1.5 million yuan when floodwaters destroyed her store. "Everything we built was swept away in one night," she said. Unlike in Western nations, where flood victims receive insurance or government aid, Chinese citizens are left with token assistance. "Instant noodles and a pat on the back," fumed Mr. Chen. "That's all we get." Beijing's silence, a regime in hiding. As floodwaters ravaged the nation, Beijing's silence was deafening. Senior leaders, including Vice Premier Zhang Guoqing, responsible for disaster response, made fleeting appearances focused on economic projects rather than aiding victims. Under Xi Jinping, the CCP has abandoned the theatrics of compassion, noted commentator Li Linyi. Gone are the days of leaders wading through floodwaters to console victims. Instead, the regime doubled down on information control. In Xi'an, Hubei, official reports claimed 18,000 people were evacuated with no casualties, but locals told a different story. A couple died from electrocution. Many were injured, but the government hides it. Live streams of dam discharges were cut off, and social media posts criticizing the response vanished overnight. The absence of transparency has fueled public outrage. In Fengjiayu town, isolated by collapsed bridges, a resident filmed the devastation. 3 days without water, electricity, or internet. We're castaways, and no one cares. A conversation with a town official revealed their helplessness. We sent rescue teams, but we can't reach them. If it rains tonight, we're finished. The CCP's propaganda machine churned out images of officials in life jackets posing in shallow water, ridiculed online as rescue theater. Analyst Li Lingqi warned, the CCP's obsession with control is backfiring. People see through the lies and their anger is growing. Sacrificing the lowlands, a political betrayal. The floods of 2025 are not merely natural disasters, but the product of cold political calculations. On June 27th, Xinhua News announced a policy of sacrificing low-lying areas to protect strategic regions, a decision that plunged millions into misery. In Guizhou's Renhuai, the Toko hydropower plant opened 7 floodgates without warning, unleashing a torrent from the Yuan River that engulfed the town. "The water came like a monster," said a resident. "Houses collapsed, roads were torn apart. We barely reached the 2nd floor as the flood smashed through our door." In Hubei's Wuxia County, the Miaowang Reservoir's release submerged downstream villages like Wanping, where a landslide killed 4 and left 8 missing. "No one told us," sobbed a survivor. "One minute I was home, the next a wave knocked me down. My house was gone in 4 minutes." This policy of sacrifice has exposed the CCP's priorities: protect key infrastructure and urban centers at the expense of rural communities. "It's not engineering, it's politics," said Dr. Wang. "They save the dam and the cities by drowning the villages below. The betrayal runs deeper. The dam's operators, driven by profit, kept water levels high to generate electricity, violating safety protocols. When floods loomed, emergency discharges became inevitable. But the lack of transparency left communities defenseless. A Miyun blogger's plea went viral. An entire village hasn't been rescued. The government claims evacuation happened, but no one has come. We're stranded, begging for help." The Three Gorges Dam, a ticking time bomb. At the epicenter of this catastrophe stands the Three Gorges Dam, a 2.3-kilometer behemoth that once symbolized China's mastery over nature. Completed in 2006 at a cost of over 200 billion yuan, the dam promised flood control, hydropower, and navigational prowess. Yet, in 2025, it has become a lethal liability. By July 7th, the reservoir's water level soared to 171 meters, just shy of its 175-meter design limit, with an inflow of 30,000 cubic meters per second straining its structure. "The dam is under unprecedented pressure," whispered an anonymous official from Jingnanhai. "If it fails, Yichang, Wuhan, and Nanjing will be obliterated, triggering a systemic collapse." To avert disaster, authorities unleashed a record discharge of 52,000 cubic meters per second on July 16th, the largest in the dam's history. While this saved the dam, it condemned downstream communities to ruin. Hunan and Anhui provinces bore the brunt, with Dongting Lake swelling to 4,600 square kilometers and Poyang Lake's dikes eroding under the relentless surge. Dr. Wang Weiluo, a hydrologist who advised on the project, exposed a chilling truth. The dam was kept full to maximize power generation, ignoring safety protocols that mandated a 145-meter level during flood season. Discharges, often at night, were done in secrecy to evade accountability. The result? Villages drowned, crops destroyed, and lives shattered, all to protect a dam that now threatens to destroy the nation it was meant to save. The deluge begins, a nation underwater. The nightmare began quietly, with monsoon rains that refused to relent. By June 2025, the heavens unleashed a torrent across China, transforming rivers into raging beasts and cities into watery graves. The Ministry of Water Resources, in a rare admission, reported that 329 rivers surpassed warning levels, a number that stunned even seasoned hydrologists. Beijing, the political heart of the nation, was not spared. The Miyun Reservoir, North China's largest, was forced to release floodwaters to save itself, sending a deluge roaring through downstream communities. In Miyun District's Taishitun town, residents woke to find their homes transformed into islands. "In 15 minutes, the water was waist-high," said Ms. Feng, a local shopkeeper. "Gas canisters, furniture, cars, everything was swept away. We climbed to the 2nd floor, but the water kept rising." Viral footage showed vehicles bobbing like corks, bridges reduced to rubble, and families stranded on rooftops, their cries for help drowned out by the roar of the flood. Further south, in Hubei's Shishu County, 315 millimeters of rain fell in a single night, turning roads into rivers 3 meters deep. There was no warning, wept Ms. Li, a traditional medicine vendor. My shop, my life's work, was gone in hours. Across the nation, the story repeated. Henan's fields withered under drought while its cities drowned. Sichuan's mountains crumbled in landslides. Liaoning's coastal city of Dalian saw fish swimming through elevator shafts after 146.5 millimeters of rain in 72 hours. The so-called sponge city drainage systems, once touted as engineering triumphs, collapsed spectacularly, mocked in viral social media posts. Sponge City? More like a sieve.